7036 West Palmetto Park Boulevard in Boca Raton. 954-393-3287. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Debra Tendrich Show, where we connect the dots between community, health, and business. The more change we create, the more change we inspire. So let's get this community healthy. This show is brought to you by Eat Better, Live Better, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to help prevent, reduce, and reverse childhood obesity. With over 12 million children and over 78 million adults suffering from this epidemic and poor eating habits, EBLB is dedicated to reducing those numbers and creating permanent change and a long-lasting positive impact in the community. For more information, visit eblb.org. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. This is Debra Tendrich, the host of the show. And for those who don't know me, I am the founder of Eat Better, Live Better, which is a nonprofit that is fighting childhood obesity. Why this became a passion of mine is because I was actually an obese child who became an obese adult. And in 2013, I lost 70 pounds. So my daughter made a transformation too. She was borderline ADHD, and when I changed her diet, all her symptoms went away. So that jump-started my passion to fight childhood obesity. I created Eat Better, Live Better to really make a difference in the world. And now I have the Debra Tendrich Show to help connect the dots between community, business, and health. And today, I know if you're listening, you can't see us, but I have my accessory on today because it's my birthday. So I actually have a birthday challenge for my nonprofit. If you are listening or watching, go to eblb.org and donate $31 for my 31st birthday to my charity, and that will help me implement my program in the community centers for the kids and families a lot and create a larger impact. Your donation will make a big difference. So today, I have Donna Haybarger with me. She is a health coach, and she's going to give us tons of tips and nutrition ideas of healthy meals, healthy lunchbox ideas, and things of that nature. But I believe we have a call, Adriana Foster. She gave us a call in first thing. So hi, Adriana, you are on the air. How are you?
How are you? I am good, and you?
Good. So Adriana was actually on my premiere show, my first show. She's a motivational singer, and she also coaches people spiritually and mentally, and she's amazing. So how are you?
Thank you. I am good. I'm very happy, and the reason why I'm calling you is because I wanted to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Debra. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. That was amazing. Doesn't she have a beautiful voice? Adriana.
I am so proud of all the work that you're doing. I am so proud of how you're changing the world with your mission, your vision, and I just wanted to wish you the best birthday ever and encourage everybody that's listening to donate to Eat Better, Live Better, so you can make this dream of eliminating childhood obesity in the world come true, and we can all be a part of that. So congratulations.
Thank you. And Adriana, I have my makeup done really nice today, and you're going to make me cry, so.
I'm glad.
I love you.
You're a wonderful human being, and you deserve all the support. I love you.
Thank you.
And everybody, donate. We can all make a difference together.
Thank you. Bye. So, sorry for that intermission. That was so sweet.
Great.
That was so sweet. I love Adriana.
Yeah.
I have to introduce her. She's amazing. She'd actually be a good connection for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
If she does spiritual, counseling.
Yeah,
and so
amazing.
forth.
And she's so inspirational with her song, her music, incredible. But now you have a really, really cool story about what got you into nutrition.
Right.
So tell everyone.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to be here on your birthday. How did I make the cut to make it here on your birthday?
You're special to me.
Gee, thank you. So I started in this business several years ago. Really, how I got interested in it. My mother was diagnosed with cancer about 20 years ago. And I know that doesn't make me unique because, 1 in 4 people will be diagnosed with cancer. But she was seemingly healthy her entire life, no history of cancer. She was one of 13 siblings. Most of them are still alive today. And she was diagnosed one day and gone a couple months later. So after that, I just started doing a lot of research, trying to figure out why did this happen? How did this happen? Could it have been prevented? And what I discovered is that the body has an incredible way of healing itself if you're just willing to make the right changes. So I decided to experiment with myself. I had digestive issues most of my adult life, and I was on a couple medications, and the doctor said that I would be on them for the rest of my life. But I made some changes, some significant changes in my diet and lifestyle, and I haven't been on medication now for 10 or 15 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it works.
Yeah, and it's interesting because something bad, like you can't have sickness living in you if you're 100% healthy.
That's right.
So the less healthy you eat, the less healthy you create, the more acceptable you are to disease, cancer, and other issues that you're basically bringing on, inducing yourself with the lack of a healthy lifestyle.
That's right.
So it's so incredible what you are representing, especially with your personal story. And have you seen cancer actually be reversed with nutrition?
Absolutely. And that was the second experience that really was the catalyst for me to get involved in this. So after my mom had passed from cancer about 6 years later, one of my lifelong friends called me up and she said, I have stage 4 lung cancer. I only have a couple months to live. And I shared with her some of the information that I had learned and told her that she doesn't have to die. This doesn't have to be a death sentence if she's willing to make the right changes.
But lifestyle is one of the biggest, hardest changes for people to make, no matter if it's life or death. And some people will take that step, and you were fortunate enough to guide her through that.
Well, and she was very coachable, and she wanted it, and I'm happy to say she's alive and well. This is now over 10 years. Mm-hmm. But, it's like anything else, Debra. As long as you're willing to make the changes and you see some results, and then you become more motivated to do it. So I went to school for a board-certified holistic health coach certification, and I'm also a holistic and raw food chef. So I have a practice where I help people and coach them through lifestyle changes, and I use a therapy, what I call replacement therapy. So I help them to change unhealthy lifestyle behaviors with ones that are more beneficial and kind of coach them through that. So it's not as difficult as you think because your body will start to crave the foods that you eat most.
Yeah.
So if we can just get you onto that.
And I think one of the biggest issues is why people have such a hard time transitioning is food associations. I talk to people all the day about this. Don't reward with food. Mm-hmm. When you're a child and you go to the doctor and you get a shot, boom, mm-hmm. They give you a lollipop. You do well in school, there's a pizza party. You turn a year older, like today. My friend said, what do you want? Not cake, because...
Give me flowers.
So I have flowers so you can hear them. But no, cake is like the worst thing. But you're rewarding yourself a year older by providing yourself something that's really not healthy for you.
Right.
And to me, that's not a reward. So a better way to reassociate yourself, because all those things actually trigger good associations with bad foods. So you have good feelings and bad foods. How can you shift that? And that's why people are always craving poor foods, and it's so hard because they're never 100% happy because so much of their happiness was revolved around bad food.
Well, that's a really good point because there are healthy cakes. There are healthy desserts. You can have healthy food. When I look at some of the foods that I used to eat, for example, let's say a processed piece of cake, I look at it now and I don't associate that with pleasure. I associate it with pain because my diet is so clean that if I eat that, I'm not going to feel well.
Right.
So we just have to shift the way that they're thinking. And again, just replace it. So we're not saying give up everything. Let's just look at the food labels. Let's just read and see what the healthier version is. So first we educate them on what is a healthy food in comparison to a non-healthy food.
Very important.
And then we tell them how to recognize them. and then how to prepare healthy dishes.
So let's say, so for instance, a lot of people have cravings, for instance, salty foods. So what I found is a good way to shift people from either, like salty peanuts to unsalted, or from white rice to brown rice. Just making those small shifts.
That's right.
Is a big deal, but just cutting off the white rice and going brown might be difficult for one person to do. So to get used to the taste. So would you suggest maybe people starting off with half white, half brown rice, and then filtering out the white rice until they get used to the taste of the brown rice? Or start mixing in the unsalted and salted peanuts, and then start removing the salted over time, and then just getting used to the less salted flavored peanuts?
Well, I think that's a good idea. But you make a really good point. Just making small changes can have really big impacts.
Absolutely.
If you swap out roasted, salted nuts for raw, organic nuts, it makes a huge difference. And the difference is that once those nuts are heated to a certain temperature, it denatures the healthy fats in the nuts. So that's why you would want to eat the raw nuts. And also, a lot of times, the roasted nuts are roasted in very unhealthy oils. So just that
And those
small
are the hydrogenated
change,
oils.
Yes. So just those small changes that you mentioned can have long-term big impacts. Another simple item to swap out that can have a big impact, if you swap out beef broth for vegetable broth, you drop the sodium content almost by 50%. And yet, most people wouldn't even notice the difference in the taste.
Right. A lot of people, especially my daughter, I make her pasta, but I take the noodles out, the carb-filled noodles out, and I make it with zucchini noodles. And if you don't tell your child, or if you're a woman and you don't tell your husband or boyfriend that you're replacing them, once you put the sauce, and you make the fresh tomato sauce, and you actually do not even notice. It has the same consistency, everything, as a noodle, and you don't even know the difference.
That's right. And
Called a sneak attack. A healthy sneak attack.
Well, for children, definitely. They're not really in control of what's being prepared for them. So you can definitely start substituting healthy foods, and again, they'll start to crave them without them even knowing it. Another really good substitute for processed white flour would be quinoa pasta. And
yes,
the quinoa
actually
pasta
good.
has the same consistency as regular pasta, but it's also a protein.
Right.
And it's gluten-free.
There's a lot
So
more
it's very
value.
healthy. Absolutely.
So, a lot of people have the issue of cooking and preparing their foods because they work, they have kids' activities, they're so busy that the last thing they want to do is cook in a pot and then clean it.
Well, I don't know how they're going to get away from cleaning a pot.
But that's why they have kids. No, I'm just kidding. But no,
Child labor.
Right. What are some good, simple meal ideas? I know there's a few that I in particular make for myself and my daughter, and I prepare them all on Sunday, and I have them portioned out for the week.
Right.
But I'll talk about mine. But do you have any in particular that you recommend?
Absolutely. There's several of them, but one thing in particular that I find is a really good way to get a lot of nutrients in to someone's diet, particularly children, would be a smoothie, because you can make a smoothie literally in 1 minute. Like on my website, I have a little video that shows you how to make a smoothie in a minute. And what you want to do is just get a blender and put some water and ice, some leafy green vegetables, and some fruit. So you can buy the pre-washed leafy green vegetables, so you don't even have to take the time to wash them.
I know, because that 30 seconds is a killer. I'm just kidding.
You're right. And so then the fruit can either be fresh fruit or it can be frozen fruit.
Right.
So, and you put it in a blender and you turn it on and you make it in a way that the children or whoever you're making it for really enjoy the taste. That's critically important. And then over time, you can increase the vegetable content in the smoothie so that you're not having a lot of sugar in the fruit.
Right.
Or you can use berries, which are very high in antioxidants, but very low in sugar. And now your child or your husband or whoever, yourself, you're getting more servings of fruits and vegetables in one drink than most people get all day long.
Yeah.
And it only takes a few minutes. And you can make it for 2-3 days at a time.
Right. And one of my favorite things, especially for breakfast, because most people, they just have coffee and go.
Right.
And they don't actually have time to make breakfast. You know those big muffin trays with like 12 muffin holders? I get egg whites, organic eggs, really the healthy eggs that are cage-free and no antibiotics, no hormones, steroids. And I make them, I put them in all the on the muffin trays. I put spinach, tomatoes, green pepper, red pepper, all types of vegetables. If I want them spicy, I throw some jalapenos, celery, whatever. I put it in the oven and I bake it. They come out these egg muffins. They're super healthy. You got like 2-3 servings of vegetables in there. And then you slice them in half and you get some a low sodium homemade salsa or some fresh salsa, and you season it with the salsa. It's so good. And it's so quick. You have it wrapped up, for the whole week.
Right.
And that's one of the best things that I've gotten people to do, and it changes their life. I mean, it's so simple.
Right. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, to cook healthy, and the rewards are so great. I mean, we mentioned it earlier when you were talking. Lifestyle is playing a huge role in all disease today. So you really need to take the time to do things. There's another time-saving tip that I talk to my clients about all the time.
Tell us.
No, it's a secret.
Okay.
Anyhow, you're familiar with quinoa, obviously.
Yes.
Quinoa is actually a seed and not a grain, but it is used like a rice would be. And you put 2 parts water to 1 part quinoa. So very similar to making a rice. And it is a complete protein. So it is extremely healthy. You can use it for a breakfast dish, a lunch dish, a dinner dish. And what I tell people is make a big pot of it and then get freezer bags and put the quinoa in the freezer bags, flatten it out. And that way you can stack a bunch in your freezer and it doesn't take any space. So when you're in a time crunch, you come home from work, whatever the case, breakfast, you want to make something in a hurry, you pull that out. You can thaw it under hot water and just no time at all. And you could, if you're making it for dinner, mix it up with some vegetables. Saute some vegetables, mix it with a salad. For breakfast, you could put fruit and almond milk or, blueberry. And it's like an oatmeal dish and
so
it's
good.
warm. Right. And it just,
That's
it
a
takes
really
no
good way
time.
to prepare it.
Absolutely.
It takes less time to make quinoa than it does rice.
Yes.
Oh yeah, quinoa does cook
Yes,
a lot faster
it
than
does
rice,
cook
and
fast.
it's harder to mess up.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely,
But I'm just saying, people that are in a hurry, it
It's
takes
right.
absolutely.
less than
Right.
5 minutes.
And since Debra's very concerned about who's going to wash the pots, so you just make 1 pot a week and freeze it all, right?
Yeah, and if you have kids,
And
that's their chore. If you have a
That's right.
husband, take away his TV or something. But no, I think the simple changes are really, really important. For instance, I'd get some really healthy organic ground chicken, and I make a big, giant chicken meatloaf. And that's amazing. You mix all these vegetables in there with it. You make a really healthy sauce for the top of it from scratch. It takes 10 minutes to make the sauce. It's not like a lot of work.
Right.
And you bake it, and you're done, and you have, a huge casserole dish full of ground chicken that's healthy, not the kind that's given the antibiotic-free, cage-free. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay. We've got a lot of ideas here. So, the point is that it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it is so important, and particularly for children. They're eating so many foods that are loaded with additives and preservatives. And if you are buying more from a grocery store than you are preparing at home, you really need to understand how to read a food label. For example, let's say you're going to buy a protein bar. Sometimes you can look at a protein bar and they'll have 30 ingredients, 40 ingredients, 50 ingredients. You look at that, you don't even know what half of the items there. They're additives, they're preservatives, they're just, it's made by chemicals. It's not real food. When you look at a protein bar, you should be able to understand what the ingredients are. So
Not
maybe
only
it says
that-
nuts, dates, apples. Oh, I know what that is.
But not only that, sugar is masked in so many different
That's right.
names. So
Absolutely.
just because the word sugar isn't in the label doesn't mean sugar's not in the bar. So could you maybe tell us some of the alternate words that are used, like sucralose, and dextrose?
That's right. And there's also many of the artificial sweeteners, which you want to totally avoid.
Right.
But there's cane sugar, there's syrups.
High fructose corn syrup is
Right.
the biggest killer.
Right.
And it's what made Coke and all these different soft drinks so mass produced, because it's so cheap
Right.
of a replacement than regular pure sugar.
Right. Absolutely. Another big additive that most people are aware of that they don't want to eat is MSG. So the food manufacturers got wise to that, and they will hide that ingredient under many different names as well.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of times if you see natural flavors on any food label, they're just hiding something else, because if it has a certain amount, then they don't have to specify what it is. So natural flavors is something to kind of be on the lookout for, because generally if it's a good ingredient,
They'll say it.
they'll want it to be listed.
Now, I do have a question. So let's say you're a mom and you have to pack your kids' lunches, but you just would rather throw in a Lunchable because it's so easy. And that's probably one of the worst things you can give your kids. And it turns out the school lunches happen to be a little bit healthier than most of the parent brought meals, because the parents are throwing chips, soda, juice, and Lunchables into the lunchbox and cookies, and the kids are just eating all these things, which really are so bad for you and processed. Do you have any ideas that parents could pack their lunchboxes with that are healthy?
You know what? It's really, again, it doesn't have to be difficult. Take the time to just look at the label and make sure that you understand what is in there. So maybe they want to pack applesauce, okay? So the applesauce should just have a couple ingredients in it, apples, and maybe it will have a little bit of a sweetener or something of that nature, but it shouldn't have a list of chemicals. The processed meats, unfortunately, they are a real detriment. They just came out with a new study. Well, it's actually not new. These studies have been around for, I think, as long as 50 years. But processed meats, regular consumption of processed meats causes more cancer than cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
And these children, if they're eating it every day, it's just not good. So they really have to be more aware of what is on the label. I mean, that is the key.
So the deli sliced meats are a lot better than the packaged processed meats?
Well, they're better in some regards because they probably don't have as many additives and preservatives, but even the processed meats in general are not good for them. So I would look for, like you were mentioning about if you want meat like chicken or something that is prepared, not necessarily highly processed.
Or even a protein like maybe hummus or something like that.
Right. Or you could put a quinoa salad or something in there. You could put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, on the Ezekiel bread instead of white bread.
That's right.
Or potato bread. Use Ezekiel bread or whole grain bread.
That's right.
Because they don't have the rich bleach flour in it, which is another cancer-causing agent, which is banned in other countries.
That's right.
And in other countries, by the way, if they use enriched bleach flour, some of those chemicals, they're fined $500 million. They go to jail for 15 years. And in America, we voluntarily need to stop using it. And,
no, I agree.
And I think as consumers, we need to mandatorily mandate that we just stop buying it.
That's right. Well, we have to educate the people in the first place, so that they understand what they shouldn't be buying. And then once they understand that and don't buy it, if there's not a need for it, it will go away.
So can you explain to people why you're not so worried about the fruit versus the rice? Because I know fiber slows down the digestion, it kind of prevents the carbs and everything, the sugars, from just attacking the liver and putting the liver on overdrive. So can you kind of explain a little bit about the fiber in foods versus foods without fiber?
Well, in the rice, it depends on whether it's the white rice, like you mentioned before, swapping out the white rice for brown rice. In the process of turning brown rice to white rice, they take all the benefit,
Fiber out.
Yeah, and all the benefit. So basically, what is left, they strip it, and you have just a lot of sugar. So that's why it creates, such a problem there. Fiber is good for you, and fruit, obviously, and vegetables. A high fiber diet will slow down the process of, we just had a conversation earlier about that gentleman saying how the colon cancer is becoming so much greater in younger people today than it ever was. People that aren't even of the age that is recommended to have a colonoscopy, and it's because of the low fiber diets. So,
Fiber. If you're doing carbs, make sure it's a carbohydrate that contains fiber.
Right.
A fibrous carbohydrate. Actually, we only have like 1 minute and 40 seconds left.
Oh, wow.
Isn't it crazy how fast the time goes? So I want everyone to be able to reach you.
Okay.
Can you tell them?
Okay, so my website is www.way2wellness, W-A-Y, the number 2 wellness.com. You can reach me at 888-659-6604. And I'd be happy to talk to you. I do all different types of programs, individual programs. I do cooking classes, group classes, just a whole host of things. I'm also doing a wellness cruise to the Caribbean.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, in March of 2018. We just did one this past year, and it's so much fun. We have all types of health and wellness activities on board. It's a celebrity ship, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
You ought to come.
Yeah, and like I said, this is Eat Better, Live Better as a benefit of this radio show, the Debra Tendrich Show. Thank you for listening, and you can go and make your donation challenge today for my birthday at eblb.org. Donate $31 for my 31st birthday. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week. Thank you for listening to the Debra Tendrich Show, where we are connecting the dots between community, health, and business. This show is brought to you by Eat Better, Live Better, a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help prevent, reduce, and reverse childhood obesity. Because change inspires change, the more change we create, the more change we inspire. So let's get this community healthier together. Visit eblb.org for more information. Thank you, and we look forward to having you tune in next week. Same time, same place.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host, guests, and